First off, I want to start by saying thank you for coming. Thank the candidates for coming. Additionally, we invited all of the candidates. Jess Mislin indicated that she would not be participating in any of the debates or any of the forums. That's the reason that her nameplate isn't up here. Scott Madsen did indicate that he would be here. We have tried to reach him and are unable to reach him at this point. Something must have come up. In any event, we're not going to delay the debate any longer. Mark Bentley will be our moderator. He will explain the rules, and let's get some great information out there. Thank you.
I'm running for city council, as most of you know, and already served 2 terms and trying for the 3rd. I've lived in Buffalo here about 30 years. Wife and I have 3 daughters who are very fortunate. They all live here in Buffalo. We have 8 grandchildren. We have 1 that's in Houston, but the rest of them live here in Buffalo, so that makes it nice too. And the reason I'm running is I want to help people. And I believe in helping the young people and the old people. And so that's why I am running for the office. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Haskins. I've been a 6-year Buffalo resident. In my time here, I've been a vice president and mortgage lender with the Bank of Buffalo, as well as being heavily involved in volunteering with 5 years with the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, where I served as president last year, as well as about 6 years with the Kiwanis, Buffalo Kiwanis Club. The reason I'm running for city council, similar to Russ, I really want to be able to help people in the town and make good decisions, really get all the information before I make those decisions. I really don't want to do anything that's going to change the town. I just really want to be able to enhance it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Zigmont. I have lived and worked in and around Buffalo for 24 years now, doing pretty much everything you can think of, from cowboying to roustabout. I'm running for city council because I've learned to love this town, and I'd like to help the people out here, make it better for them in whatever way I can. Thank you.
Over the last 4 years of your term, you have been vocal in your desire to use city coffers to improve existing infrastructure, and yet you've been opposed to the proposed Loudon Street Improvement Project, Dog Park, Crazy Woman Square project. How do you reconcile that, and what projects would you greenlight, and why?
Well, the reason I'm against it is because the way it's been handled, the way it was presented to us. Some of the time we don't get all the information we need to know on some of this. And the dog park, as far as the dog park, I'm not against the dog park, I'm just against where the location is. I'd like to see it like at Heritage Park or somewhere like that. But I don't think we need a dog park down there by the swimming pool, because we have a gentleman over in Sheridan that lives by one, and he has, he said the urine smell in the summertime is terrible over there. But that's why I'm against some of it, is because of the information we get.
In regard to the dog park, I felt that Vision Buffalo, it was just an advisory committee to city council. It was up to council just to make the decision. They just advised them on the project. They gave them all the information, repeatedly came back and updated them throughout the process. There seemed to be a lot of confusion with the costs. The fact was there was no cost for the land, because the land was already owned by the city, and the project could have been abandoned at any point and the land repurposed. The cost was going to be about $900 in labor, and that was it.
I agree with Russ for the most part. As far as the dog park's concerned, I think unless there's a ban on dogs everywhere, that it's not really a realistic idea. We've got enough country around here for people to walk their dogs, and I think our money could be spent better in other ways.
You know, it's amazing how we say, you know, $900 isn't much money. It don't sound like much, but you add $900 to a bunch of other money, and that adds up quick.
Buffalo has been named one of the top western towns in the United States. Are there things the city council can do legislatively that will help maintain or improve Buffalo's image?
You know, I think this town has a great image. I mean, there's not a whole lot you want to change about that. I mean, you know, as you mentioned, it was, you know, Buffalo's been mentioned as a great western town. We've been in True West magazine multiple times, you know, with the cooperation of the Downtown Association and our other downtown nonprofits. We'd like to continue to update the downtown, but keep that western feel to it, you know, really the whole town.
I really don't have anything to say that Wes didn't say. I've got to say I agree with him wholeheartedly about that.
I don't have any comment at this time.
Do you believe economic development should be a function of city government? If so, why? If not, why not?
Yeah, I do believe it should be. I think that the city government has a hands-on situation where they're more in touch with what needs to be done because of the fact that this is such a small town and we're so close. I believe that the developments that we could be making are definitely in the realm of the city council. I think that we're close to the community, and that signifies that.
I believe that we ought to have for development, but I believe, I don't know if I would have to say the city should have to help all of it because, you know, we're talking about taxpayers' money a lot of time when we talk about putting out some of this money, and we need to look at it very careful on what we're going to develop and how much it's going to cost. We've already run into problems as far as development. You can take the sports complex, for example. It's been very expensive, and it's a lot of people don't know, but they had to change the wiring on that over there to the tune of $43,000 for the new lights that they put up. And I just, you gotta watch what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Say that I do feel that economic development is one part of the city's job, you know, and giving support to those organizations that do that, such as the Joint Powers Economic Development Board. With a better economy, with economic development, it'll raise our tax base, which will give us the ability to be able to fix more roads and fix more potholes and repair and update infrastructure.
There has been a lot of acrimony among the city council the last 4 years. Why, and has there been any behavior that you personally find regrettable? Please expand on that next one.
No, I don't. You know, for example, the city we face a lot of issues, and we have they're real, and I believe that we are overcommitting our resources for some of the projects that are unproven, and it's the quickest way for a city to go under. And I'm conservative, and I believe in a careful approach to spending taxpayer dollars. And I tell you what, as far as regretting anything, no, because if you go to the meetings, you'll always see it seems to be, for some reason, a 3-2 vote.
Would you expand on that? You have a few more seconds.
Yes, you know, you got a lot of people that are on fixed incomes, whether it's young people or whether it's old people. And I tell you what, sometimes we get in there when we're making a lot of money for our own personal selves, and we forget about the people that aren't making much money.
Well, another field has made it to the starting gate. Scott Madsen, do you have any response to that?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Haskins.
I guess my spin on that question is, we've got a bunch of people up there that don't agree with each other. If everyone agreed with each other and all voted the same way, what would we gain? That's the way I feel about it.
Mr. Humphrey, do you have a response?
No.
The council has been accused in the past of being business unfriendly. What specific actions do you feel the city can take to improve the business atmosphere?
I feel like we need to definitely give more support to those nonprofits that support businesses, such as the Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Association, the Economic Development. Through that, I think that will help us develop our economy and help grow our current businesses, which will, again, help our tax base and help us be able to fix infrastructure. Thank you.
Mr. Zigmont, do you have a rebuttal? No? Mr. Humphrey? Mr. Madsen?
I think the city has been mostly business friendly, but some of the things they've done, I guess, in the past is the sewer and water rates they raised them considerably for the businesses and not as much as for the individuals, and some of the motels and campgrounds got a pretty big steep increase when they were last raised, and we need to try to keep things, I guess, more moderate so we can, everybody needs to pay their share, but we don't need to be unproportionate and charge some people more and some people less. I'd like to see more equality across the board and charge everybody the same, treat everybody the same, and have no favoritism for anybody.
I just want to say that was a good answer by Scott. It was a good point. I've heard similar issues from our businesses in town that their taxes and rates have went up, while I know when other property owners have went down. So I do agree with that.
Thank you. Let's go back to Mr. Madsen and his first question. Come on up. You'll have a minute and a half to answer this question. What projects do you feel the city should prioritize with budgets and why? And what areas would you cut if necessary?
I think the biggest area we need to prioritize is to continue to update and modernize all of our infrastructure. There is a tremendous amount of roads and streets, curb and gutter, water lines, sewer lines, everything all over town that is in need of repair. I'd like to see some type of technology used to help coordinate all those miles of roads and lines, and somehow to get a better inventory of every line in town so they know exactly when it was built, how old it is, what its current condition is, what its expected lifespan is, when it needs replaced, and try to keep on top of things. The current Public Works does a pretty good job of keeping up on things, but they still have the unexpected breaks on the old lines. It costs a tremendous amount more to come in and fix a line and try to patch it back together than it does just to do preventive maintenance ahead of time and to keep things working ahead of time. And I guess the only things I could see to cut would be some of the, I guess, fringe benefits, some of the fancy, I guess, stuff we have around town. We maybe cut a little bit back on some of the amenities, but we've got to focus on the necessities to make
Thank you very much, Mr. Madsen. Mr. Haskins, do you have a rebuttal?
No.
Mr. Zigmont? Mr. Humphrey?
I agree with Scott on what needs to be done on like our streets and water and sewer lines. We need to fix them. It don't seem like it seems like we sometimes we start on, for example, Lobbin Street. We put money aside 4 years ago. We tried $1 million to fix Logan Street. Was going to resurface it from the south end clear to the north end. And here it is 4 years later. Still isn't done, but we do have money for next year to try to do some of it anyway.
What is the primary function of city government, and how do you plan to ensure that takes place?
Well, I think the primary function is to make sure everything happens as it should, to govern. And as far as enforcing that, I guess just to confer with my fellow councilmen and come up with the best idea for any problem that needs solved.
Mr. Humphrey, do you have a rebuttal?
No.
Mr. Madsen? Mr. Haskins? Do you have a response to no response? There has been a growing move to ban dogs in public places in Buffalo. What's your stance on that and why?
Well, I've been to the last 3 or 4 meetings when they've been talking about the dogs in public areas, and I guess that what the original intent was just to ban them from public assembly areas and sporting events, places like Brzezinski Park, the sports field complex, and Crazy Woman Square was the original intent, but the way the first ordinance was written, it sounded like they were banning them everywhere in town, and I guess I'm for keeping them out of like Crazy Woman Square and the sports field, just so that kids don't have to worry about stepping in, or you don't have to worry about when you go down to see activities in Crazy Woman Square. But I guess I'm also not against having them other places around town. If there's places in city land where it is a bit acceptable to have dogs, I would support that, as long as we can get some dog cleanup stations and have the bags readily available so the responsible dog owners can clean up. Originally with Crazy Woman Square, there used to be the bags there to clean up from dogs, and they were supposed to be put back in after the reconstruction. They never have been put in, and that's one thing. It's kind of hard for the dog owners to clean up if they don't have the supplies to clean up with, so thanks.
Mr. Haskins, or Mr. Butler? Mr. Zigmont? Mr. Humphrey?
I agree with Scott on a lot of that, but like the dog park, a gentleman come up to me, and I never thought about it until he came up. He says, you know, if you keep the dogs out of Brzezinski Park and Crazy Room Square, like dog shows, like dog trials. He said we have the dog trials in Brzezinski Park. He said, I think we need to have them. So I went and asked Ben to change the ordinance so that we can have special events, that they can do this. And we have one councilman that didn't agree with me, but that's okay. But anyway, I told him, I said, I never thought about you guys having dog trials at Brzezinski Park or dog shows once in a while at the Crazy Moon Square. So I agree with him that special events, we need to open it up for that. So,
Thank you, sir.
I agree with Russ too on that we need to word the ordinance so we can allow for special events and not ban them completely 100% of the time. Also, I am in favor of a dog park if the city has land available, but I'm against using public funds to do it. I think there are plenty of private sources to build a dog park. If the city can donate the land, I'm sure we can find funding to put in the dog park and to maintain it without using taxpayer funds. Thanks. Like I've said before, I'm a lifelong resident of Buffalo. One of the reasons I want to be on the council is I care about what goes on in this town. I've been attending a majority of the meetings the past 4 years, even when I wasn't on council. I have served a 6-month term on council to finish the unexpired term of the late Bruce Hepp. I learned quite a bit from there. I have been working with many of the city departments and department heads over the years in my construction business. I have a real good working relationship with most of those, and I feel it would be easy enough for me to learn the few minor things left I need to learn about how the city government functions. I'm a small business owner. I know how they work and some of the problems we have with small businesses and what we need help from the city. And I think I would just encourage you to vote on August 19th.
First want to thank everybody for putting this on, everybody coming out here to listen to us. I just want to say, the thing I think I can bring to city council might be a little bit different than everyone else with my history in finance. I understand budgeting, understand, being fiscally responsible. I'm also conservative, but I'm also open-minded. So with that, I just want to encourage everyone to come out and vote for me on August 19th. Thanks.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and giving us their time. I appreciate the Bulletin for putting this on. Thanks for listening to what we have to say. As you can tell, I'm new at this and I'm learning, and I'm looking forward to learning more. So get out there and vote and think about me when you do.
First of all, I'm going to go back to one of the questions that you asked me and wanted to know if I regretted what I'd done and what I said. And I said no. And I'll stick with that, because the people, when they did elect me 4 years ago, they didn't elect me to see how much money I could spend. They elected me to see how much tax dollars I could save them. And that's why I feel that we need to really watch what we're doing. And I would appreciate your vote August 19th. And get out there and get your vote out.